So, I've just got done watching the 6th episode of The Walking Dead's 11th and final season, and yeah, this episode, in my opinion, there's a lot of stuff I've got to talk about, guys, I gotta tell you, that really creeped me out, and yeah, we also got to see a character returning after being presumed dead, and yeah, I'm going to talk about it, so yeah, join me, Lucas Prime, as I review The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 6, titled On the Inside. Alright, so, oh boy. Alright, I'm going to, read, the plot of it so I can talk about it, so yeah. So this episode, of course, confirms that Connie, who is believed dead by the other survivors, in Series 10 after the cave-in, she makes her return in this episode, and yeah, the main group, of course, still assumes she's dead, even though the audience, knows that she's alive. So, the episode begins with her and Virgil, who, was surviving with her, on the run from walkers. So, yeah, and they have to, communicate with, sign language because, of course, Connie is deaf. So, yeah, which is a challenge for Virgil a little bit. But, yeah. But they're able to, get through, the hordes it's tough for them to do because there's a lot of them and they don't have, enough weapons on them. Eventually, they take refuge in an abandoned house. So, yeah, and they take down one walker that got in with them with a knife. So, after securing the house, Virgil encourages Connie to rest, but Connie is certain that they're not safe in this house, even though it appears to be clear. Because aside from showing signs of post-traumatic stress disorder from the cave-in earlier, Connie has been away from Alexandria for a long time. So, this is because she, as a result of being away from Alexandria, she does not know of Alpha's defeat or the end of the war with the Whisperers. And she likely thinks the Whisperers are still a threat to the group. And there's also Father Virgil is a suspect because after watching him lock Michonne in a cage next to his imprisoned colleagues, most probably wouldn't be too keen on closing their eyes around him, although Connie likely doesn't know any of that backstory either. Now, so as they, are settling into this house, this was a part that, really scared me, guys. Connie is walking down a hallway and she sees some paintings and they appear to have their eyes scratched out. So, yeah, that was very, suspicious, and it made me think they weren't alone, and I was proven right because when she goes into a bathroom, she looks at a chest of medicines and she notices a hole in the wall, and when she looks in, we get a very quick shot of some yellowish eyes on the other side. So that was pretty scary, and I don't know exactly. At first, I assumed it could have been a human at first, but due to how the eyes were looking really yellow and horrible, could it have been a walker? I mean, it would have been a big shock if it introduced like a new kind of walker, one that is, quick, if you get what I mean, but I was proven wrong about the idea of it being a new walker because it wasn't a walker. Instead, it was a feral man who literally looked like a rip-off of Gollum from Lord of the Rings because he was wearing nothing apart from, loincloth on him, and he had very long hair, and he was living literally in the house's walls and, creeping around on his all fours like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. And what was scary as well was Virgil and Connie, at first Virgil doesn't believe that someone's there. He thinks that Connie's hallucinating, but, he was proven wrong because as they're walking back down the hallway, a trap door locks Virgil on the other side and, leaves Connie alone. And then we see the first look at the cannibal, like I said, wearing nothing but the loincloth and looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings but with long hair. He chases Connie on his all fours, on all four of his limbs, but then she runs into the basement. And this was a part that was even more unsettling and disturbing, where she comes across loads and loads of skeletons and bones. And this confirms that this feral man is a cannibal. So yeah, I mean, cannibalism is definitely one thing that I really disliked in this show. You know, we of course have the termites in series 4 and 5, you know, in Terminus, and now we have this. So yeah. Now meanwhile, Virgil also encounters another feral person, which implies that that man who they encountered is not alone. There's going to be more of them. Connie is able to, you know, come through the walls because she's able to see, you know, a pathway through the walls, which they've of course been using, and she's able to see Virgil on the other side. She tries to, you know, call to him and, you know, make a banging noise, but she can't, you know, verbally talk because she's deaf. And as Virgil's about to investigate the wall, one of the cannibals creeps up from behind, and Connie can't do anything, so she helplessly watches as it attacks him. But luckily, Connie's able to distract the feral man by banging on the wall, allowing Virgil to get his knife and stab him. And the wounded man then drags himself away while Virgil rescues Connie. But yeah, this was just utterly disturbing. But one thing I did like about this episode with regards to Connie is I love how in many of her scenes where she's alone, there's literally no sound. Because, of course, she's deaf, so she can't hear anything. But I did like that because, you know, it makes us feel like we are Connie, in a way. Like, from her point of view, we can empathise with her, how it feels to have no sound. I did like that. But there was lots of jump scares in this, though, when there was sound, yeah. So, after this incident, Virgil and Connie have a heart-to-heart, and he tries to give Connie a knife, and he tells her that he wants her to keep going if anything happens to him. And if you think that something's going to happen to Virgil, then you're not entirely wrong, because something happens after. Then all of a sudden, they begin to hear loads of noises and, like, you know, some very loud feral screaming. So, yeah, it made me think, you know, is this for cannibals, or is there going to be, you know, is there people that are being attacked by walkers outside? But, you know, so they attempt to leave, and then a door opens, and then loads of the feral cannibals come running out. So that man was not alone, and that scared me. And as they attempt to leave, they fight them off, but a feral woman jumps onto Virgil and viciously stabs him in the back. But Connie doesn't want to leave him behind, and she drags him downstairs despite him telling her to leave him. The cannibals close in around her, but then she spots the corpse of a walker that she killed before at the start of the episode, and she guts it open, and she takes the guts and smears herself with the guts. Then she opens the front door and allows the walkers outside who were pounding on the door to let themselves in. And the cannibals try to fight off the walkers, but the walkers eventually do gain the upper hand and start to kill them. So yeah. Now, as a bit of a subplot, after hearing from the whisper in this episode that, you know, Connie is alive, Kelly has been on a mission to find her. She did find her campsite where she was with Virgil, and a few traces to her location, and Carol Magnum Rosita join her. And they begin to look for it, and as Connie and Virgil get out of the house, Virgil collapses from his wound, and then a couple of cannibals who survived the walker incident, because most of them have been eaten by the walkers, they come out and they attempt to attack them. But at the last second, Kelly appears and takes them down with her slingshot. And then the walkers outside are then killed by Carol Magnum Rosita. And then we get a nice bit reunion between Connie and Kelly. So this was very nice to see, in my opinion. But the whole cannibal thing just really disturbed me. It's like, they turned this into, like, you know, an old horror movie in a way, guys. Like, it didn't feel much like The Walking Dead anymore, to be honest. It felt like an old horror movie. But yeah, those cannibals creep me out. Now, there's another subplot as well, guys. This isn't just about Connie and Kelly, which is now about Daryl's point of view now. And the episode begins with Daryl's point of view, where he has to interrogate one of Maggie's group, which is Frost. And this was a pretty disturbing scene, because they're torturing Frost, and Daryl takes part in the interrogation, and he chops off one of his fingers. And after this, Frost reveals that Maggie and her group are hiding in a yellow house. So a very vague description. So this is enough for them to go on a run to find them. So Daryl and the Reapers, led by Carver, goes to investigate, and Carver is skeptical of Daryl's behaviour, doesn't really trust him yet. They enter the neighbourhood and they do spot a yellow house and they begin to, investigate, but unfortunately for them, Maggie already spots them coming and she orders her group, Negan, Gabriel, and I think the other one, it was Elijah, to hide. They hide in the basement. And yeah, Daryl, is certain they're going to be in there, but he still wants to protect his group, so he is able to, give out distractions to, his group, to search where they aren't are. I don't know if he knew exactly where they were, but, yeah. He's able to distract them long enough to allow, Maggie's group to secretly escape. And Carver did notice the trapdoor they were hiding in at first, but by the time he opened it up, they'd already left. So, yeah. Daryl had luckily bought them time to escape, but, yeah. So, yeah. I'm not sure if Carver wants to trust Daryl or not. I think he's got a feeling Daryl might still be on Maggie's side, which I think he might be due to, providing them enough time to escape, because he was certain they were in there. But thing is, though, guys, I think they did this mission for nothing, because when they got back, it's revealed that Pulp, the leader of Reapers, continued to interrogate Frost and finally got, the location from him. So, and they see that Frost has now been killed by him and has turned into a walker hanged up, attached to a tree. So, yeah, I was not happy about this, because it means that, they went out for nothing, when they could have just waited until Frost finished, reveal the true location, So, yeah. So this, terrifies Daryl because he now must deal with the consequences if a man outed Daryl as one of Maggie's friends. So, yeah. So maybe Pulp has been told by Frost that Daryl is part of Maggie's group. So, yeah. Looks like Daryl will be in danger, but, yeah. Again, this episode, the whole bit with the cannibals just really disturbed me, guys. It felt like, it didn't feel like Walking Dead, in my opinion, but, yeah. The subplot of Daryl I was okay with, but, the bit with, the cannibals, I didn't like, to be honest. So, yeah. Anyway, episode 7 will be out next week, guys, so, yeah, I'll be reviewing that. So, guys, this is me reviewing The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 6, today, and, yeah, giving spoilers on it, tell my thoughts on it on the inside. So, drill, guys, be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave comments what you guys thought of today's episode of Walking Dead if you've seen it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe for more videos coming in the future, and I'll see you all later.